We are going to pick up today where we left off on this e-commerce store. We built an admin panel for this store at the end of last session. And let's see here. Oh, I don't have it running right at the moment on localhost. Let me run it here. And we've got that extra secure password that Google loves that the AI made for us in the last session. That'll be exciting. We're going to go ahead and dive right in and make most use of our time. And anybody who misses this can watch the video because that'll be up on YouTube. Last week's session is already up there. So if you want to go and reference that, you can. Matthew, do you mind dropping the URL to that in the chat, please, for everyone? Thank you. All right. So we've got our dashboard here. It shows our products, which are referenced from the database, and it will show our orders and customers here once we have orders placed. So there are a couple things I'd like to accomplish today. The first thing is I'd like us to have a product page. Right now, you can see these are cut off. They're just excerpts, and we can't click on them and go into a product overview like an actual product sales page. And there isn't one from the shop page either. I want to add that. And then I'd like to see if we have enough time to add in Stripe checkout to this, or if we're going to run out of time on that. For the sake of making this product page quickly, I mocked one up. Let me see if I can pull over the mock-up here to another screen. We have this mock-up here for a product page layout. I'm going to drop that in and we're going to build from that mock-up. Let's get started here. There is some chatter going on here. There's some issues with Claude. I was noticing that in some work this morning. So it may be intermittent in how well it behaves. But let's take a look here. We're going to tell it to look at the file. I uploaded that here. Let's see. Single product. Is that what it is? Wait, it's having trouble reading that. We'll just tell it without the reference. Okay, so we're going to say, please look at the single product e-commerce image example and tell me how we could implement a product page like this example that would appear for any product when people click. Do not make changes. All right. So we have that image over here. See if it can find it. For some reason, the image reference isn't working, but hopefully it will search and find that for me. I believe these are the same image. I think I just uploaded it twice. Yeah. So we're going to let that roll through here. Okay. The Windsurf browser has been erroring a little bit lately. They rolled out an update a few days ago and it has been erroring. So it looks like it is having a lot of trouble reading an image, which this is what I was concerned about when I saw that Claude was having errors, is that it's going to act unruly as we go through this task today. I'm going to paste the image in here and just see that it can't seem to pull it in from the files today. All right. I can see the image with a paste. That works. You're getting to see some workarounds for how to work around bad behavior from the AI. Tony, I see your question. Do you ever use Gemini code? Yes. It tends to screw things up a lot in my experience. So I use it inside Windsurf or inside Kilo code, and it will often give good insights into debugging issues if you don't let it touch the code. But then if I let it start touching the code, in both of the tools, it does this thing where it forgets all of its tool calls and just starts writing text right here in the stream about what it's going to do. And it just gets in this loop where it writes that text over and over because it's never being applied. And I think there might actually be an instance of that in last week's video where that happened to us live on the call. Then the other thing it tends to do is when it does write, it does a tool call and writes to the code, it messes it up. And then it goes through this process of doing that about 15 times in a row and apologizing between each one. It's very polite about it. It's like, I'm sorry, I screwed that up. Let me try again. I'm sorry, I screwed that up, and try again. And it will go through 20 usages here in Windsurf just to make one change. So I haven't been super impressed with it for the actual coding, but it does seem to work well for me for debugging. And there is another use of Gemini that I have been doing that I want to show on the call today. So we'll do that once this gets building, because it actually is being very useful for another task that I've been encountering. All right. So we have our example here. Okay. This looks good. I will tell it to currently just add placeholders for the review system, and we will put that in place later. Actually, I'm going to have it skip the review system because that's kind of a more advanced feature that should be built out on its own. Okay. Please add this, but skip the review all together, as we will add that later. Make sure we can edit all the product details. So you will have to extend the database using the Postgres MCP, which I shared that on last week's call, that we have that installed here on Windsurf. And make sure the admin product table has fields to edit the product details. Thank you for resharing that there, Matthew, in the chat. Okay. We're going to have it do that. This Jules from Google doing the loops and endless apologizing. Yes, it really seems to be what Gemini does. It has trouble with tool calls. I don't know why. It is an issue that I noticed even in early versions of Gemini's chat inside, like if you just go to Gemini and chat with it, where it will say it's going to do something and then just end the conversation instead of doing the thing. It's like it was trained on too many emails where you send a message, say, yeah, I'll get that done for you. And the message ends. And then the conversation is picked up later with the completion. It seems to think it can do that and just end the conversation and pick it up later. And it's unable to, but it's a pattern that I've noticed with Gemini. Considering a lot of the possible training material that we could assume it had access to in free Gmail accounts, that is the expectation that I have there. Okay, so this is being created. But speaking of Gemini, I would like to show you a fun little process that I've been using lately for some quick mock-ups for different landing pages, or to give design ideas for existing brands, to give those to AI for building stuff. So a lot of times we'll use Replit here to build a landing page that has a lead collection form, and we just want it to be really simple and fast. And I need to give it the ideas of layouts for landing pages. So I'm going to pull up Gemini here. What has been working rather nicely, it's not perfect, but it actually is fast and works pretty nicely, and you can iterate through it really quickly, is to turn on Canvas and then go to the brand website. I can just do like Brooklyn in here. All right. So what I do is I go and view page source. This gives us all of their styles and, more importantly, all of the images that they have linked in the page, so that we don't have the AI trying to come up with images for a mockup. You'll just Control A, Control C, or Command A, Command C for that content. And you'll say something like, make me a landing page with a nice interactive quiz form for this brand. Use their images and colors from the following source code. And you'll just paste that in there. I enabled this Canvas feature so that it can run through and write that in the Canvas. That's going to spit out a nice or potentially nice landing page that we can interact with on right over here in the Canvas when it gets done thinking. It will loop back to that in a second here. Come back over here. We used up our 20 little answers here. Who here uses Claude Code at all or has a membership to Anthropic's Claude service, whether it's the $20 or the $100 or $200? If you've got one, I want to show you something pretty neat here. There is, if you use Kilo Code, they just added in the ability to include Claude Code as a profile. So you create a profile and name it whatever you want. I have it named for Sonnet 4 here. And then you pick your API provider as Claude Code. And as long as you have Claude Code installed on your system, it can use your Anthropic membership for coding instead of hitting the API and charging API fees. Now, they have been imposing lots of limits on that usage due to there are some people who would run multiple instances, 10, 12, 15 instances of Claude Code simultaneously and have those running 24/7 and just really use up a lot of resources. And so now there's limits on there because, we can't have nice things due to some people abusing a system, but it still is quite a bit cheaper than the API costs. So if you're doing a lot of work with Claude and you're using something like Kilo Code, this is a really cool new integration that you can use. So you can pick the model you want to work with. If you want, you can create a Claude profile here for every model. Then when you're in chatting with it, you can just switch between the profiles that you've created to switch models. I primarily use Sonnet unless I need something really debugged. It's working really well. I haven't yet hit the limits on the max plan, but I did test the lower plans, hit the limits really quick on the $20 a month plan and the $100 a month plan. But on the 200, haven't hit the limits. And I know for sure that I've used what would have been over $200 worth of API credits since testing it. Pretty good savings there if you're going after it pretty hard. The beautiful part of that is you can use Claude Code in the terminal, that's fine. But this gives you access to using it with all of the one-click rollback features that Kilo Code has implemented, being able to revert with just a click if something goes awry. And that's, I think, for a lot of users, a really nice feature. Okay, so it says it's going to create a browser preview for us. Their browser previews have been less than helpful lately, so we're going to create our own, but let's see what was done here. Okay, did it make any schema change? It did. Okay, so this was using the MCP tool that I built, and Matthew shared that in the chat. So if you want to use that, you can use that tool, but this makes editing the database really fast and easy for this sort of change. So your agent can just do those changes itself. Let's go ahead and stop this and restart it and see if we have errors. So it's working fine on the front end. And let's go into a product. And here is our product page. So we actually have a pretty cool little product page created here. Put a little description in. This could definitely be extended if you want to add a content area, but I think for the purposes of a really simple e-commerce store, this is quite acceptable. I like that it put breadcrumbs here. Those are good for SEO. So we just have some referential links here that are excellent. And then our shopping cart is still functional from the page. I didn't look. Looks like we have add to cart still here. So I may want to change the buttons to have like a view product and then add to cart sort of thing. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and follow. And if you need help building or finishing your app, click the link in my bio to book a one-on-one Zoom call to take a look at your project.